So how many are we up to probably 20 some of these Atlas Life so far? And this is the first one with Chris Madrigal. How did we wait so long?
I don't know. You've had such great content. I didn't even realize we've had so many of these.
We're into the 20s.
I'm actually really nervous.
No.
I really am. I was just literally saying that before we started.
You brought us Morgan Hornsby, who a great nurse that's been with us for a while. Tell me about Morgan.
Oh, wow. Morgan Hornsby, ICU nurse from Florida. She's probably taken 4 or 5 assignments. She's gone everywhere from Amarillo to Alexandria, out to Denver, to she's in Minnesota.
Awesome.
So she's just a great nurse. I think she embodies everything that we're looking for in an Atlas nurse. Just a good heart, cares about people, and just flexible and understands travel life.
Awesome. So how did you guys first connect?
Kristen Bajan, a nurse. Love her. I came across Kristen, I don't know, years ago. She doesn't even travel anymore. And she had referred Morgan to me. And it's so funny, Morgan and I are actually planning a trip to Nashville to see Kristen because I've met Morgan in Amarillo and I met her in Denver.
Awesome.
And Kristen's like, wait a minute, we've never met in person. And so that's how we met. She was a referral. And yeah, it's been love at first contract. Can I say that?
Sure.
That's so cheesy.
No, I think
right.
Did you just make that up right now?
You know how it is.
That's like the tagline for this one.
Okay.
Love at first contract. Chris is happily married, but not that kind of love.
Yeah.
So that is cool. That's really awesome. I mean, I hear these stories a lot with our nurses, right? But there seems to be just that genuine respect and admiration for each other that you guys have, right? And I think there's something special to that.
Absolutely. She makes it easier to do my job because she trusts me. And because she trusts me, then there's just a greater responsibility to want to make sure that the contract's right, the pay's right. And if anything goes wrong, I want to help her just because I know she reciprocates that. Awesome. So, yeah, I'm smitten for Morgan Hornsby and a lot of my nurses. I'm not going to lie. I don't want them to go like, oh, Marsha.
No.
But she is legit.
I hope that you come back with more nurses for the Atlas Life as we continue to do these. So.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Morgan, welcome to the Atlas Life. Okay, Morgan Hornsby is with us today. Morgan, you're an ICU nurse working with Chris Madrigal. How is that?
It's awesome. Chris is like, I don't know, he's so cool. We just have this really great connection. And I know, I think it was on an Atlas thing recently, I read not everybody has a personal relationship, and that's fine, but Chris and I just get along so great. We're we bonded over our love of everything, chill. We're just both really chill people. And
he actually brought this up. When I just talked to him a minute ago, and you'll see when we edit this all together, he actually said, and I can't remember how he phrased it, but he said, "I love me some Morgan Hornsby." So I thought that's it, right? I mean, you're right. Not everybody's going to have that personal relationship. Not everybody wants that personal relationship, right? But some people do, and when it works, it's magic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, so let's get into this a little bit. How did you first meet Chris? How did that connection happen?
So there's another nurse, Kristen, that I worked with her before I was even a nurse, when I was a nursing assistant, and she was a nurse at the hospital I worked at. So she and I have known each other for, oh my gosh, probably 10 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. Well, she had started traveling, and she always talked it up, and I always kind of wanted to travel anyways, but she came back. She had moved to Nashville for a while, and she came back and did a travel contract at our old hospital. And that's when we really started talking about it. I had been working in ICU a few years. And so she connected us, and that's how we first met.
That's how it was. So, and since then you've done what, 4 or 5 different contracts with us?
Yeah, I've worked in Texas, Louisiana, Colorado, and now I'm in Minnesota.
Which one has been your favorite then?
Probably Colorado, just because I mean it's Colorado, but
Right. Yes.
also my best friend from when we were little kids lives out there with her two daughters, and I got to live with them, and I got to live there the entire first 7 months of her new baby's life, and it was awesome. I got to just hang out with them all the time, and it was an amazing time.
Awesome. That is, see, and that's when, you'll have contracts that are fun or whatever, but when they work out like that, like it probably just reinforces like why you do this in the first place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, plus like Colorado is Colorado. I love hiking. Hiking is like one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. Well, and if you've seen any of this, my pictures or read any of my stuff, I mean, that's our gig too. Like I'm not a skier. I think I would try to snowboard. Chris has tried to talk me into it a few times, but I like to hike. My family likes to hike too. Even my 9-year-old, like he loves to get out there and hike.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, there's like, it's everywhere in
Everywhere.
Colorado.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You can't go more than 10 feet and you find a trailhead somewhere. So.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So why, I guess we kind of got into the why, like as you continue to do this, like what keeps you going? What, from this contract to the next contract to the next one, like why?
I would say probably I just love like seeing the different parts of the country and like meeting different people, and I love that like I have friends all over the country. Like when I was in Denver, one of my favorite bands was playing down in Dallas, and so I called up one of my friends from Texas and was like, hey, do you want to go to a concert this weekend? And like drove down to Dallas because when they played in Denver I was working and I couldn't go. So I just love that I'm like, all over the country. I have friends, and it's I think that's one of the best parts.
So he mentioned this band. You need to help me out here. The Dirty Heads?
Yes.
Okay, help me. I'm clearly old.
So they're kind of like a reggae type like band. I love them. They're like super chill, super fun. They put on like one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life.
All right.
Awesome energy live, and we both love them. And it's funny because Chris will call me up and be like, oh, hey, this Dirty Head song was on, so I was thinking about you. So it's fun. I love them so much.
I like it. That's cool. They played here in Omaha a few times, and Chris has gone to see them. And so it's stuck in my head. I've heard of them before. So
yes, they are awesome.
I should probably check it out. I should probably, I'll look them up.
Oh, great.
So, okay. So Florida native originally, do you want to go back to Florida eventually? I mean,
I will always love Florida. I have like, I love every time I go home, I'm like, oh, I don't want to leave. I don't want to go home. I love, the beaches, the water, the, everything about that, boat days and, kayaking and all that kind of stuff. But I actually did in between, oh my gosh, when I left Denver, before I came to Minnesota, I did like a 3-month contract at my old hospital where I still work, PRN. And so that was nice. I was like, all right, I get to be home for 3 months, family, friends, all that. And then I was like, ready to go again.
But once again, the freedom of what you do, right? You can go home again for a while.
Right.
And then go back out. So there you go. So give me the best and worst part of traveling, because this comes up a lot. And I mean, we've touched on it a little bit already, but what's the best? What's the worst?
So the best, like I said, I just love, meeting new people, traveling all over the place, seeing different parts of the country. And honestly, I also think part of the best part is I love seeing how like other hospitals do things. Like, I think that's cool. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought to do that. And then, so that part's awesome. I would say the worst part, like about the actual traveling, I hate packing. I hate doing that every, 3 to 6 months or whatever. And then as far as like the work part of it, I think just for me personally, I would say like getting to know the different doctors, like especially in the ICU, we're really like, we work so closely with the physicians because, you know, things can change constantly all the time. So just getting to know them and like how they like to treat their patients and how they like to do things, you know, different things, I think is probably the hardest part of the actual working.
Sure.
Yeah.
So not necessarily bad part, just more difficult.
Yeah, difficult. Absolutely.
It's interesting that you say that you like to see how different hospitals are run, because I've talked to more than a few that have said that's a bad part. Like I like, you know, the consistency or whatever, which does not seem like the trait of a travel nurse. I would think your answer is closer to.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I mean, I don't know, I guess I've always had really great experiences at all my hospitals. And I'm a huge, like, go with the flow. I'm very like, I think that things work out the way they're supposed to work out. So when I'm like trying to pick assignments and Chris will be like, where do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't know, anywhere. Like, and he's like, okay, narrow it down a little.
Sure.
So I'll kind of like tell him, like I ended up in Louisiana because I was like, oh, I want to be in the South for winter. And he's like, well, you know, Louisiana is a walkthrough state. You can get your license there. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. And so, but I think like with that, you know, it kind of comes I've always had really great experiences because of, you know, and I think that, like I said, I think things work out the way they're supposed to. So I always hear these horror stories about traveling, you know, and I've never experienced it. And I think that, you know, that maybe is why I enjoy seeing the way hospitals do different things, because I've always been at great hospitals. So,
or, I mean, is it possible that you have experienced probably not the most ideal situation somewhere, but because you have such a good attitude about it, it's not that bad?
I think that definitely plays a huge role in it. Like, I think you just, like, you can't get hung up on, like, that's not the way I do things. That's not how you know, it's the way they do things.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I think
so. All of a sudden, like it makes perfect sense, right? I mean, there's this thing, and it's always kind of been there for recruiters on our side, right? It's you are who you recruit. Like our recruiters recruit people that, you know, and have good relationships with the people who are most similar to them. Yeah. This makes a ton of sense right now. Like it really, really does. And I mean that in the most awesome way possible. I love Chris. He's one of the heartbeats of Atlas. He really is. And so it makes perfect sense that you're with him and that you're happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we definitely have very similar personalities.
All right. So last question, what's next?
I have no idea. I'm here until October.
Okay.
And then I'm taking a couple of weeks off to go home. And then, so I don't know. I normally try to go like a little bit warmer places in the winter. You know, being from Florida, I don't do snow well. Driving, I was in Denver until December last year, and we didn't have a ton of big storms, luckily. But driving in the snow was one of the like most terrifying things I've ever done in my life for me and everyone else on the road. But I also feel like and Chris is gonna like, this is probably gonna take Chris by surprise. I also feel like I almost want to do like a winter contract somewhere and like actually like suck it up and live in, you know, I feel like it's an experience I need to have.
Besides the cold and the snow, I mean, there's a lot of good places to go in the winter. I mean, even places you may not even think of, Utah or you know, Montana, places like that you wouldn't normally think of, that have really great hospitals that pay pretty decent in the winter because it's very hard for them to draw.
Right.
You know? You never know.
Maybe we'll see. I don't know.
So
I'll have to think about it.
You know what? I somehow think it's all going to work out.
I agree. Totally.
So, all right, Morgan, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you know, we are always here if you ever need anything. I know you've got Chris's number.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Thanks, and we'll see you on the road.
Absolutely.